giant dinosaurs, ancient reptiles that ruled the land. Many millions of years ago, the Earth was a very different place. There were no people. The land was low and flat. Shallow seas covered much of the Earth's surface. It was summer all year long, and great ferns, palm-like trees, and strange shrubs grew everywhere. In this strange landscape lived the dinosaurs, the giants and killers of the past. Dinosaurs were reptiles. They were the early relatives of today's turtles, snakes, lizards, and crocodiles. They ruled the world for about 160 million years, many times longer than human beings have even existed. At the time of the dinosaurs, there were also other animals on the earth. Some were water-dwelling reptiles that looked like huge sea serpents. Some were flying reptiles that glided on leathery wings. Some were insects like the huge dragonflies that hummed through the air on 2-foot-long wings. And some, tiny furry creatures, were the first mammals. There were hundreds of kinds of dinosaurs. Some walked on 2 legs, others walked on 4. Some ate only meat, others fed only on plants. Over millions of years, the dinosaurs kept changing or adapting to the changing world. Some died out and were replaced by others. Some kept growing bigger and bigger. The biggest dinosaurs were the plant eaters. They were peaceful animals who loved nothing better than moving about near shorelines or swamps looking for tender plants. They had to eat almost all the time just to keep their huge stomachs full of food. Some were so big that their size alone was enough to frighten away their enemies. Others had armor to protect them from attack. Some could move quickly, making the earth thunder as they tried to outrun their enemies. Often the best defense was to reach the safety of the water. One of the largest plant-eating dinosaurs was Brontosaurus. Its name means thunder lizard. Brontosaurus was over 70 feet long, so the ground must have thundered with each step this reptile took. Brontosaurus spent most of its time near the water's edge. Water meant safety, and water meant juicy plants for huge appetites. Brontosaurus had a body like a blimp and legs as thick as tree trunks. Its neck was almost as long as its tail. Yet its tiny head was no wider than its neck. Peg-like teeth helped this huge dinosaur pull up the plants it gulped by the ton. Some scientists think it could stay almost completely under the water for long periods of time because its eyes and nostrils were near the top of its head. Although Brontosaurus spent much of its time in the water, it sometimes joined a herd and traveled over land to find better feeding places. Most of its enemies would not attack a group of these enormous animals. As the herd thundered along, the baby dinosaurs stayed in the center. That way, they were safe from danger. When Allosaurus came into sight, Brontosaurus headed for the water. It could wade out into water so deep that only its head and neck were above the surface. There, the huge plant eater was safe from its sharp-toothed enemy. If Brontosaurus could not reach the safety of the water, It probably lashed out with its powerful tail. Diplodocus was the longest of all the dinosaurs. In fact, it was the longest animal ever to walk on the earth. From its tiny head to the tip of its tail, it was nearly 90 feet long. It looked something like Brontosaurus, but it was thinner and did not weigh as much. With its slender build, Diplodocus could move very quickly if it had to. If a hungry meat-eater came too near, Diplodocus could run away and escape. Or if water was near, Diplodocus would just wade in hip deep. Its enemy was left on land, gnashing its teeth. Like Brontosaurus, Diplodocus spent most of the day searching for plants to eat. It munched from dawn to dusk on ferns, water weeds, and plants called horsetails, which grew at the water's edge. Sometimes it ate leaves and shrubs at the edge of nearby forests. The heaviest plant-eating dinosaur of all was Brachiosaurus. It weighed about 85 tons. Some scientists have said that an animal this size must have spent most of its life in the water. Others say that it roamed through tropical forests, eating twigs, soft bark, and leaves from even the tallest trees. It may have eaten over a ton of food every day. Brachiosaurus was built something like a giraffe. Its stocky front legs were longer than its hind legs. It could stretch its long neck out and reach any food that was within 40 feet of its body. Small groups of these hungry dinosaurs could eat their way through a tropical swamp or forest in a few days. Smaller dinosaurs kept their distance when Brachiosaurus moved around. Its huge feet could flatten anything that happened to be in the way. With one blow of its 15-ton tail, Brachiosaurus could knock a meat-eater senseless, so even the mighty Allosaurus usually hesitated to attack. But when Allosaurus was very hungry, Brachiosaurus must have looked like a tempting meal. If Allosaurus could get past the thrashing tail, it might be able to sink its sharp teeth into the plant-eater's huge body. Then it could rip away chunk after chunk of soft flesh. The wounded giant would fall and crash to the ground, and Allosaurus would feed on its kill for many days. Allosaurus was well equipped to be a killer. It had a huge head and powerful jaws. With its dagger-like teeth and huge claws, it could tear its victims to pieces in minutes. This ferocious reptile was 35 feet long and weighed over 8 tons. Yet it was very fast. Making great strides on its hind legs, Allosaurus could attack its victim in seconds. Allosaurus had a heavy, muscular tail. When this huge killer moved, the weight of its tail helped to balance the rest of its body. When Allosaurus stood still, its muscular tail rested on the ground and helped to support the weight of the mighty reptile's body. Allosaurus often attacked small dinosaurs. A young Brontosaurus separated from its mother would be an easy kill, much easier than fighting the full-grown parents. With a few quick snaps of its vicious jaws, Allosaurus could tear its victim to pieces. But Allosaurus did not always kill its own prey. It did not have to. It was big enough to rob other dinosaurs of their kills. Allosaurus did not even have to fight for this kind of meal. All it had to do was show itself, and the smaller meat-eaters would head for safety. Then Allosaurus would enjoy a free meal. Some dinosaurs had armor to protect them from the meat-eaters. Stegosaurus had bony plates on its back and sharp spikes on the end of its tail. If it was attacked, this armored plant-eater would turn its back on its attacker and lash out with its spiked tail. A few blows usually drove the attacker away. Trachodon's only defense against its enemies was the water. A trachodon was a duck-billed dinosaur with webbed feet. It was usually safe while it looked for plants in the shallow water of the muddy swamps, but on dry land, this gentle reptile was easy prey for meat-eaters. If a hungry meat-eater caught a trachodon on land, the duck-billed dinosaur didn't have a chance. The meat-eater attacked with its claws and teeth. It sank its long, curved claws into its victim and then jerked and tugged with its teeth until the flesh tore away. It kept eating until it was full. After it rested, it probably ate some more. The fiercest of all the killer dinosaurs was Tyrannosaurus rex. This monster was one of the largest flesh-eating animals that ever lived. It was 50 feet long and stood 20 feet high, much bigger than its ancestor Allosaurus. Its front legs were tiny and almost useless, but Tyrannosaurus didn't need them. Striding across the land, Tyrannosaurus rex was truly the king of the tyrants. Its gigantic head was almost 5 feet long, and its jaws could open 3 feet wide. Its dagger-like teeth could easily rip through a victim's leathery hide. They were 6 inches long and strong enough to crunch bones in one mighty bite. Tyrannosaurus attacked anything that moved, but scientists think it fed mostly on duck-billed dinosaurs. One common duck-bill was Corythosaurus, a strange creature with a crest on top of its head. Most duck-billed dinosaurs were about 30 feet long, but they were no match for Tyrannosaurus. Instead of fighting, they usually ran for the safety of the water. One dinosaur that did not have to run from Tyrannosaurus was Triceratops. Triceratops was a plant eater, but it could protect itself in a fight. It had a heavy, muscular body, something like that of a rhinoceros, but its neck was hidden under a high, bony collar, and on its head were 3 pointed horns. Triceratops was not afraid to fight anything. Tyrannosaurus, the meat-eater, had to be very hungry to attack Triceratops. When it did, Tyrannosaurus would slash and snap with its great jaws. Then, Triceratops would lower its head and make quick jabs and thrusts with its deadly horns. Sometimes the plant-eater drove its horns deep into the enemy's body. But if the armored reptile made one mistake, Tyrannosaurus would quickly move in for the kill. Tyrannosaurus rex and Triceratops were among the last of the great dinosaurs to roam the earth. Then, about 70 million years ago, the dinosaurs became extinct. They all died out. Why? Scientists are not sure. But the great reptiles that ruled the earth for 160 million years have disappeared forever. No other creatures have reigned so long or so successfully. last of the dinosaurs, the end of an age. Millions of years ago, long before there were any people on the earth, the world was full of dinosaurs. These huge reptiles ruled the earth for a very long time. About 160 million years went by from the first dinosaur that lived to the last one. This long period of time is called the Age of Dinosaurs. Not all the creatures that lived in the Age of Dinosaurs were dinosaurs. Some were queer-looking reptiles that swam in the water. Others were strange flying reptiles that soared through the skies on leathery wings. But there were hundreds of different kinds of dinosaurs on the land. As some kinds died out, others took their place. Dinosaurs came in all shapes and sizes. Some were almost as long as a city block. Others were the size of chickens or dogs. Some walked on 2 legs. Others walked on all 4s. Some ate only plants, like ferns, mosses, soft bark, and palm-like leaves. Others ate only meat, usually the flesh of other dinosaurs. The huge plant-eating dinosaurs made the earth thunder as they lumbered through lush swamps and marshy forests. Brachiosaurus was the heaviest of all. It weighed about 85 tons. Diplodocus was the longest animal ever to walk the earth. It was 90 feet long, about 10 times as long as an elephant. But the king of all the dinosaurs was Tyrannosaurus Rex. Its head was as long as a man's body. With 6-inch long teeth, it could tear huge chunks of meat from its prey. Most of the giant plant eaters headed for safety when Tyrannosaurus arrived. But some, like Triceratops, might stand and fight. This 3-horned dinosaur had bony armor to protect itself from the savage meat-eaters. For well over 100 million years, the dinosaurs ruled the earth. But then, a mysterious thing began to happen. More and more dinosaurs began to die. Scientists say that within a few million years, all the dinosaurs were dead. The sea reptiles and the flying reptiles died out too. They became extinct. They no longer existed. Why did the Age of Dinosaurs come to an end? Why did dinosaurs in every part of the world become extinct? The Earth's surface was changing. But the changes took place gradually over many millions of years. Other forms of life adjusted and survived. Why didn't the mighty dinosaurs? Scientists have several possible reasons for what has been called the time of the Great Dying. The climate during the Age of Dinosaurs was warmer than it is today. In North America, much of the land was covered by a great shallow sea. Thousands of dinosaurs lived near the warm waters of this sea, in the swamps along its marshy shores. In other parts of the world, dinosaurs lived in other steaming swamps and prehistoric marshes. Then, ever so slowly, the world changed. It took millions of years, but great forces inside the earth made continents like North America rise. The shallow inland American Sea began to drain away. To the west, the earth heaved, folded, and pushed up. and the Rocky Mountains were born. All over the world, continents rose and warm inland seas drained away. At first, these changes did not bother the dinosaurs. But as the centuries passed, new generations of dinosaurs began to find life harder. The warm, swampy lowlands, with their plentiful food, were disappearing. More and more reptiles found themselves on land that was higher and drier than they were used to. The world was also getting colder. The cooler temperatures helped kill off many dinosaurs. Unable to move as quickly in the colder climate, big plant eaters like Corythosaurus grew sluggish. They could not find the energy to fill their great bodies with food. Many fell easy prey to the mighty jaws of Tyrannosaurus. As the land heaved up and the temperatures cooled down, new kinds of plants and trees developed. In earlier days, there had been palm-like shrubs and trees that were green all year long. Now, hardwood trees like elms and maples took their place. For nearly half the year, these new trees had no leaves for the dinosaurs to eat. The plant-eating dinosaurs could not change their diets quickly enough. They could not get used to the new plants, so they began dying out in great numbers. When they died, there was less food for the meat-eaters. When the plant-eaters were finally extinct, Tyrannosaurus and other meat-eaters must have turned on each other, and soon they also became extinct. Life in the water also changed. As the inland seas drained away, smaller lakes were left in the hollow parts of the continents. All over the world, warm tropical waters grew colder. Great sea reptiles, like the 30-foot Tylosaurus, could not move as quickly in cold water. The fish they once caught easily were now too fast for them. So the sea reptiles died out. In one way or another, the great reptiles of the land, sea, and air all died. But why did they all die out at about the same time? Scientists can only guess at the answers. Perhaps a sudden deadly disease killed the reptiles without affecting other animals like birds and fish. But not all the pieces of the puzzle fit. Some reptiles did survive the time of the great dying. These were the ancestors of today's crocodiles, lizards, snakes, and turtles. Of all the reptiles that lived in the age of dinosaurs, only these smaller species or kinds survived. Why did all the great dinosaurs die? No one knows for sure. Perhaps their huge size was the reason. During the age of dinosaurs, many dinosaurs grew to enormous sizes. Brontosaurus grew bigger and heavier. So did Tyrannosaurus and Triceratops. They needed more and more food. And food was becoming harder and harder to find. Many dinosaurs probably could not keep their huge appetites satisfied. Although many dinosaurs grew bigger, they did not grow any smarter. Their brains were tiny compared with their bodies. One of the least intelligent was an armored dinosaur, Stegosaurus. Its brain was only about the size of a walnut. Many experts believe the dinosaurs became extinct because they were not smart enough to change their habits. The dinosaurs had become set in their ways. When it came time for them to adjust to new conditions, they could not do so. With their large bodies and small brains, the dinosaurs could not get used to the changing times. They could not survive in a world that was changing more rapidly than they were. It was easier for small animals with large brains to adapt to the changing world. These were the mammals. The mammals were warm-blooded, active, and clever. For centuries, they had lived by their wits, keeping out of the way of the huge dinosaurs. The mammals probably even helped kill off the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs laid their eggs on top of the ground and left them to hatch. It was easy for the mammals to sneak in and eat the unprotected eggs. Other dinosaurs probably also ate the eggs, especially when food was scarce. And if all the eggs were eaten before they hatched, no new dinosaurs could be born. The huge reptiles would quickly become extinct. One scientist, an astronomer, has another theory about why the dinosaurs became extinct. Suppose a star exploded and its rays ripped away some of the Earth's air. For a time, the Earth would lose some of its heat. This would cause a brief wintry spell all over the world. The warm-blooded mammals could survive, but some cold-blooded dinosaurs could not. Imagine what it must have been like 65 million years ago. An aging trachodon, one of the last of the plant-eating dinosaurs, has been searching all day for leaves and soft bark to eat. Cold and tired, it has dragged itself from one maple forest to another. Its scaly, brownish hide hangs loosely on its large bones. The trachodon needs food. It has not eaten for several days. The web-footed ancestors of this dinosaur lived in tropical swamps. They scooped up tender water plants with their broad bills. But this trachodon lives in a maple forest where there is nothing but tough bark and dry leaves. The trachodon staggers on. Then, too late, the old plant eater hears the stomping of heavy feet behind him. A young Tyrannosaurus has been stalking the old trachodon. Now, the hungry meat-eater opens its hungry jaws and attacks. Its dagger-like teeth sink into the side of the trachodon. The old dinosaur puts up a weak struggle and gives its last shudder. Then, the attacker starts tearing off chunks of meat. Finally, its hunger is satisfied. The young Tyrannosaurus drinks from a brook after its meal and then falls asleep. A large, shadowy figure looms above him. It is another Tyrannosaurus. This full-grown adult has also been looking for food. The sleeping dinosaur never has a chance. Sharp teeth rip savagely into its flesh. The big Tyrannosaurus has been lucky. With most of the big plant eaters gone, food has been hard to find. At least today, there will be a meal. After the huge meat eater has pulled off most of the flesh from its victim's bones, it moves on. A moment later, tiny mammals dart out of the underbrush toward the bones. Tyrannosaurus covers several miles over the next 5 days, but it can find nothing to eat. On the 6th day, crazed with hunger, it chases an Ankylosaurus into a thick grove of oaks. Normally, Tyrannosaurus would not bother with this small, horned dinosaur, but food is food. The great jaws snap shut. but the Ankylosaurus runs to safety. The angry Tyrannosaurus pushes deeper and deeper into the forest, chasing anything that moves. Slowly starving to death, it thrashes about and crashes through the trees. When the sharp-eyed little mammals find the body of the great reptile, it is wedged between two oak trees. Time has run out. Life became too difficult for even the mightiest of the dinosaurs. One by one, the great reptiles met their end, and finally, they became extinct. Why? Scientists are still not sure exactly how or why it happened. But after 160 million years, the reign of these mighty reptiles was over.